Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we unpack complex ideas, pull out the key insights from, a whole stack of sources, all to help you get genuinely well-informed. Today, we're tackling a challenge that honestly touches every single one of us.
Mhm.
How do we move from inaction, from pointing fingers, from just resisting, towards real responsibility and lasting change?
It's such a classic problem, isn't it? You see it everywhere. Community projects, the workplace, even just trying to organize something with friends.
Definitely.
The question always pops up, who's actually going to do the important job? And what happens when nobody does?
Right.
So this deep dive, we want to equip you with some really powerful frameworks, tools to understand why change stalls, and more importantly, how to actually get things moving again.
Exactly. Our goal today is simple. Give you clear, actionable tools to diagnose where groups, or maybe even you, get stuck, and show you how to shift those dynamics to build genuine accountability. We're going to explore a really compelling formula for change, a practical ladder for understanding how people respond, and why building a safe environment. Well, why that's absolutely crucial for people to step up.
That can-do attitude doesn't just appear out of nowhere.
No, it doesn't. Okay, so let's start with the core problem. There's this old story, it's also a poem by Charles Osgood, called The Responsibility Poem. Sometimes people just call it, Whose Job Is It?
Oh, yeah. That one's great. It absolutely nails the idea of diffused responsibility.
It really does.
The main point is simple, but so true. Everybody was sure that somebody would do it. Anybody could have done it, but nobody did it.
I've seen that play out so many times.
And then, of course, the inaction leads straight to blame. The poem goes on. Everybody blames somebody when nobody did what anybody could have. It's a perfect loop of nothing getting done.
It sounds exactly like the bystander effect, doesn't it? When everyone assumes someone else will step in.
Precisely. Often, nothing happens. And that inertia, that lack of action, feeds directly into the resistance we run into when we're trying to make any kind of positive change.
Think about trying to start something new in your community, or even just change a process at work. You know there's a problem, you might even have a good idea. But then, crickets.
Yeah, that feeling of hitting a wall, that's the resistance we need to understand if we want to overcome it.
Okay, so how do we overcome it? How do we get past that nobody did it stage? Our sources point to a really powerful model, the Beckhard-Harris Change Formula. You often see it written as D times V times F has to be greater than R.
Right, the DXVXFR formula,
Yeah.
popularized by Dick Beckhard and Reuben Harris. It basically says that for change, that's the C to actually happen. The combined force, the product of three key things, dissatisfaction, D, vision, V, and first steps, has to be strong enough to overcome the resistance.
Let's break that down. So D is for dissatisfaction.
Yep. This is the pain point, the discomfort with how things are right now. It's recognizing that the status quo isn't working. Maybe it's even harmful.
It's crucial to actually articulate that pain,
Right.
making clear why staying the same is, well, not good.
Exactly. It's not about scaring people, but about creating a shared, genuine understanding of the problem. Why does this need to change?
Okay, then V is for vision.
The desirable future. You have to paint a compelling picture of what success looks like. Where are we going? Why is it better than where we are now?
If people can't see that better future, they won't move towards it. That makes sense.
And then F for steps.
This seems like the really practical one.
It is. These are the concrete, actionable things people can do right now to start moving towards the vision. What's the first thing we do? The second.
And the formula says D times V times F. The multiplicative part is key, isn't it?
Absolutely key. That's the genius of it. Think about it. If any one of those three, dissatisfaction, vision, or first steps, is 0, or even just really low,
The whole thing becomes 0.
right, the product can't overcome the resistance. So you could have people who are incredibly unhappy with the current situation, high D, and they might even have a brilliant vision for the future, high V.
But if there are no clear first steps,
Nothing happens. You just get a lot of talk, maybe some complaining, maybe some planning docs that sit on a shelf. It ends in apathy, being stuck. The F is often the missing link.
and R, resistance. That's just the natural pushback.
Yeah, the perceived cost of changing. It could be extra work, uncertainty, fear of the unknown, losing something familiar. The formula helps us see which element, D, V, or F, we need to boost to tip the balance against R.
Okay, that's a really useful diagnostic.
Yeah.
So we use the formula, we identify we need maybe clearer first steps, we lay them out.
Yeah.
But then we hit the human element. how people respond.
Which brings us right to Bruce Gordon's accountability ladder. It's such a brilliant framework for understanding the different ways people react when faced with challenges or responsibility.
Yeah, I found this really insightful. It maps out different levels of response.
Exactly. It categorizes them into sort of unaccountable or victim-type responses at the bottom, and then moves up towards accountable, powerful, problem-solving responses at the top.
And the goal is obviously to climb up that ladder.
Or help others climb it.
Let's start at the bottom with the unaccountable rungs, because let's be real, we've all been there.
Oh, absolutely. The very bottom rung is denial. This is the I didn't know defense. Like, a volunteer misses a crucial planning meeting for a community event and says, oh, I didn't even know there was a meeting.
Right. Just unawareness or maybe choosing not to know. Yeah. Then just above that is blaming.
Shifting the focus. It wasn't me, it was them. Maybe an outreach person whose team didn't get a grant says, well, the grant writer didn't do a good job. It's always someone else's fault.
Next step, excuses.
The justifications. Well, you see, the program manager whose event had low turnout says, well, it rained heavily that day. They provide a reason, but it sidesteps any personal responsibility for, say, not having a contingency plan.
And the last one on this side is wait and hope.
This one's passive. Maybe it'll just sort itself out, or maybe someone else will step up, like a community organizer just hoping interest in an issue will magically pick up without doing any active outreach.
So if you're seeing these behaviors, denial, blame, excuses, wait and hope, how do you coach someone? What do the sources suggest?
The general approach is to gently challenge that external focus. You want to redirect their attention inward, towards their own agency. Ask questions that prompt reflection. Instead of just accepting the excuse, you might ask, okay, given the rain, what could we have done differently? Or if someone's blaming, what part did you play in how this unfolded? Or what could you control in that situation? The key is shifting from external factors to internal choices and actions.
Got it. So pushing gently toward ownership. Now let's climb up to the accountable rungs. This is where things start to change.
Yes, this is where the problem solving happens. The first step up is acknowledge reality, just seeing the situation for what it is.
So not blaming, not excusing, just, okay, this is where we are.
Exactly. Like a prevention specialist looking at the data and saying, okay, I see that our current campaign isn't really connecting with teenagers. Just stating the fact.
Then the next step is own it.
This is taking personal responsibility. Moving from I see the problem to I played a part in this, or I am responsible for addressing this.
So I could have done more.
Precisely. Like a community leader whose partnership effort failed, reflecting, I could have done more to build that relationship proactively. It's a powerful shift internally.
Okay, so you acknowledge it, you own your part. Then what?
Then you move to find or create a solution. This is active problem solving. What if we try this? Or how can I fix this?
So the person facing community pushback might say, okay, what do we organize some focus groups to really hear their concerns directly?
Yes, generating options, looking for ways forward, and that leads to the top rung. Implement solutions.
Taking action. We will.
This is where the rubber meets the road. The community health worker who identified a service gap doesn't just talk about it. They say, right, we will create a task force to tackle this starting next week. It's about execution.
And coaching people up these rungs, how does that look different?
It shifts from challenging defensiveness to enabling action. You're asking questions like, okay, great idea about the focus groups. What specific steps do you need to take to make that happen? Or how can I best support you in implementing that task force? It becomes about empowering their solutions.
So the ladder isn't just for diagnosing, it's a real roadmap for growth. Moving from feeling like a victim of circumstance to being a proactive force.
Absolutely. For individuals and for groups.
But here's the big question, maybe the most important one. How do we actually encourage people to climb that ladder? To move from excuses to solutions, especially when it feels risky or hard? How do we get that can-do spirit?
Yeah, this is critical. And the sources point overwhelmingly to one key factor: psychological safety.
Amy Edmondson's work. Can you define that quickly?
Sure. Psychological safety is basically the shared belief within a team or group that it's safe to take interpersonal risks.
Meaning
you can speak up with ideas, ask questions, admit you don't know something, raise concerns, even point out mistakes, all without fearing humiliation, punishment, or damage to your reputation or career.
It's not about just being nice, though, right?
Not at all. It's about candor. It's about making it safe to be vulnerable, to be truthful, even when the truth's uncomfortable. It's the absolute foundation for effective teamwork, learning, and innovation.
And it takes courage, doesn't it? That vulnerability. Our sources stress. It's not weakness.
It's profound strength. It's how we connect, learn, and build trust. And the data backs this up powerfully.
Google's Project Aristotle.
Exactly. They did this huge 2-year study, looked at hundreds of teams, trying to figure out what made the high-performing ones tick, and the number one factor, psychological safety, by far. When people feel safe, their brains literally function better. They enter this broaden and build mode. Trust, curiosity, confidence, they all increase cognitive capacity. Better problem solving, more creativity, stronger collaboration. It's a tangible performance enhancer.
Okay, so if it's that important, how do we build it? Especially in, say, a volunteer coalition or a community group where hierarchies might be less formal, but anxieties can still be high.
The sources give us some really practical strategies. First, approach conflict as a collaborator, not an adversary. Frame disagreements as us trying to solve this problem together rather than me versus you. Focus on shared goals.
Makes sense. Avoid triggering that fight or flight. What else?
Speak human to human. Remember, everyone has basic needs, respect, feeling competent, being valued. The just like me exercise can be powerful here, just reminding yourself, this person has hopes, fears, worries, just like me. It builds empathy instantly.
I like that. Okay, third.
Replace blame with curiosity. This is huge. When something goes wrong, resist the urge to point fingers. Instead, adopt a learning mindset. State the observation neutrally. I noticed the deadline was missed. And then ask open-ended questions. What's your perspective on what happened? Or what do you think needs to happen now? Shift from accusation to exploration.
Asking for solutions from them.
Yeah.
Involving them.
Yes. And fourth, ask for feedback on your own delivery. This is especially key for leaders or facilitators. Ask things like, how did that land? Or what could I have done differently in explaining that?
Why is that so powerful?
It does a few things. It disarms people, shows you're open, it helps you see your own blind spots. And crucially, it models fallibility. It shows it's okay not to be perfect, which makes it safer for everyone else to be open to. It builds trust like almost nothing else.
So fostering safety enables risk-taking, feedback, respect, inclusion. It creates this space for people to actually step up the accountability ladder.
Exactly. They feel supported enough to take on the challenge.
Okay, let's bring this all together now. We have the Beckhard formula, DXVXFR, the accountability ladder, and the foundation of psychological safety. How do these help a group, like a prevention coalition, move from resistance to responsibility?
It becomes a really practical toolkit. First, use Becker's formula as your diagnostic lens. Why isn't change happening? Do we lack a shared sense of urgency? D. Is the vision unclear or uninspiring? V. Are the first steps missing or too daunting? F. Or is the resistance just too high because we haven't addressed concerns?
So you pinpoint the bottleneck using the formula.
Then, as you start implementing those first steps, you watch how people respond using the accountability ladder. Are individuals or the whole group stuck in denial about the scale of the substance use problem? Are they blaming budget cuts or lack of community support, making excuses, just waiting for someone else to lead?
And knowing where they are on the ladder tells you how to coach them.
Right, using those targeted questions. But underpinning all of that coaching, all of that action, has to be the conscious cultivation of psychological safety.
Because without safety,
people won't dare to acknowledge reality or own their part or suggest a risky new solution or admit a program isn't working. They'll stay low on the ladder. But with safety, they feel empowered to climb, to find solutions and implement them.
our sources actually laid out some concrete steps for winning with accountability in coalitions using these ideas.
Yeah, they're really practical. First, set clear expectations. Define specific, measurable goals. What does success look like for this coalition? Reduce opioid overdose deaths by X% in Y years, increase youth reporting protective factors by Z%, and clarify who's responsible for what.
Second, assign accountability partners. Pair people up for mutual support and feedback. Keeps things moving.
Third, use structured check-ins. Regular meetings, not just talk fest, but focused on progress, barriers, and next steps.
Fourth, focus on results, not just tasks. This is critical. Are we measuring our impact like actual changes in substance use rates or community norms, or just counting how many workshops we ran?
Fifth, encourage ownership. Build that culture where everyone feels responsible for the collective outcomes, successes, and failures.
Sixth, provide constructive feedback. Ongoing, honest, specific guidance delivered safely.
Seventh, celebrate wins and learn from failures. Acknowledge progress, however small. And when things don't work, analyze why collectively, without blame, to adapt and improve.
And lastly, ensure follow-through. Track commitments. Gently hold people accountable for what they said they'd do.
Following these principles, using these frameworks, allows a coalition to transform, to move from being stuck in diffuse responsibility and resistance to becoming this dynamic, proactive force where everyone's expertise is valued and they feel safe enough to contribute fully. That's how you tackle really complex problems like substance misuse prevention.
So this deep dive really shows that moving from resistance to responsibility, from that frustrating nobody did it, to a powerful we will make it happen, it isn't just about willpower.
Not at all. It's about understanding the mechanics of change with the Beckhard formula, diagnosing responses with the accountability ladder, and absolutely fundamentally building that bedrock of psychological safety.
When you put this together, you're not just chasing accountability. You're actively cultivating trust, open communication, collective problem solving.
Yeah, it fosters what Amy Edmondson calls teaming, that ability for diverse groups to come together, learn quickly, and innovate even under pressure. Think about the Chilean mine rescue. Strangers with different expertise had to collaborate under intense pressure, inventing solutions on the fly because they built trust and safety rapidly.
That's a powerful example.
Yeah.
So for everyone listening, what's the takeaway? Think about a challenge you're facing right now, maybe in your community, your workplace, even a personal goal.
Where are you or your group on that accountability ladder regarding this challenge? Are you maybe stuck in making excuses or waiting and hoping?
What might change if you applied the Beckhard formula? Could you strengthen the dissatisfaction, sharpen the vision, define clear first steps?
And maybe most importantly, how can you actively contribute to building more psychological safety in that situation? How can you make it safer for yourself and others to acknowledge reality, own it, find solutions, and take action?
Because these tools, these frameworks, they aren't just for consultants or big organizations. They're for anyone, anywhere, who wants to turn resistance into real, powerful collective responsibility. They give us a language and a roadmap to get things done, together,